Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you how to make this 10 by 10 by 3 inch gift bag. Now in the video I'm going to be making it completely manually, so just using my scoreboard and my paper trimmer, but there is a ScanNCut cutting file for this exact same bag available in the shop on my Apple Lover 53 website. So if you buy the cutting file, all the cutting and the scoring is all done for you, and you just assemble it exactly the same way as I'm showing you how in this video, but doing it manually for anybody that doesn't have a ScanNCut. So I've cut mine in basic white thick cardstock. I've used designer series paper on the sides and on the front, and this tag shape is a shape that's in my ScanNCut machine. I've just put a piece of designer series paper on to match the front piece here, and this flower is also in my machine, and I've just tied that around the ribbon handles with some baker's twine. So a nice big bag. So if you want to see how I made it, keep watching the video. Okay, so what you're going to need for this is 2 pieces of cardstock that measure 11 by 10 inches, a piece of cardstock that measures 11 by 4 inches, and I've got 2 pieces of designer series paper. This could be card as well, but I'm going to use designer series paper. This is going to be for the side of the bag, and these measure 10 by 4. Now this is also a ScanNCut cutting file, so this is why I've made these measurements like this, doing it the manual way, so that if you buy the cutting file and all the score lines are already in for you, you'll know how to assemble it. Because particularly for the base, this is going to have a 1/2 inch score line all the way round. Ideally I would like it to be more, but you can't cut 12 inches, you know, the actual a 12 inch cut on a ScanNCut, so that's why I've done it this way. So on the first piece of card, with the 11 inch side along the top, I'm going to score at 1 inch. And I'm going to do that on both pieces that measure 11 by 10. So I've got the 11 inch across the top, and I'm scoring at 1 inch. Then this piece that's 11 by 4, I'm going to score at 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. So just put it in your scoreboard or your paper trimmer if you've got a scoring tool on that, and score it at 1/2 inch. Like I say, I've also got a ScanNCut cutting file for this, and this is already done for you. All the bits are cut out, the fold lines are all there ready to make it a lot easier for you. I'm going to bring in my piece of designer series paper, which is 10 by 4. I'm going to put it in on the 4 inch side, and I'm going to score at 1/2 inch and 3.5. Then at 2 inches, I'm going to score from 2 inches down to 7, or you could go all the way down. I'll show you what the inspiration for this project is. I received these gift bags and wrapping paper and ribbon and cards as a gift. And I looked at this and thought, oh, I've not made a gift bag for ages, I'll make one. So that's where the inspiration came from for these. So we've got the 4 inch side, we scored at 1/2 inch and 3.5. And then I'm going to score at 2 inches, and I think I'll just score all the way down, that's fine. I'm going to do the same on this one. We've got a couple more score lines to put in on this in a minute, but I'll do this first. So 1/2 inch, 2 inches, all the way down, and 3.5. Or you could go 2 down to 7, and then you're going to put like diagonal score lines in, but we'll leave it like this for now. So just going to bring in one of these sides, and let's see if you can see this. I'm going to do this on the opposite side. It might be easier for you to see. I'm just going to measure up 3 inches on that centre score line and just put a little mark, and I'm going to do the same on the other one. So from the bottom 3 inches up on that middle score line. Then what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go from that score line down to these score lines and just put a diagonal score line in. So I'm just going to line up my ruler with that centre 2-inch line and this fold line here. And I'm going to do that on both sides. So you're making like a triangle effectively. So I don't think you're going to see this at all, but basically I've measured up 3 inches, and from that 3-inch point I've scored to this score line on both sides, and I'm going to do that on this one. Now I would do that on the right side, but because I've not got a pencil handy and I'm using a pen, that's why I'm just marking it on the opposite side, but it should be okay. So I'm just going to put that score line in. It's only to help this bag fold flat when finished, so you can store it completely flat. So now I'm going to bring in my bone folder and I'm just going to fold on these score lines. And I'm going to fold that centre one as well, all the way down to the bottom. And then where I've put this diagonal line, which I can barely see, I'm just going to fold just with my finger and my thumb. I'm not going to burnish this. And I'm going to do the same on this side. If I can see it, it'll be easier once the actual bag is put together. So I've got that. But as I say, it is a ScanNCut cutting file, this, and it will be a lot easier because all the lines are all in for you. You don't have to worry about what you can and can't see, you know, and measuring and all that kind of stuff, because it's all done for you in the cutting file. So again, I'm just going to try and gently just fold a little bit on those lines. So that's my 2 sides. This is my base. And this is the main bag. So I'm going to, where I scored this 1 inch, I'm going to fold that over and burnish on both pieces. This just reinforces the top, and if you were cutting this all in designer series paper, you could fold this out if your paper's double-sided and have like a contrast, but I'm going to have these both on the inside. Okay, now I'm going to have to punch holes with my proper dial for these, but again, in the cutting file the holes are already in for you, so everything will line up. So now I'm going to take one of my pieces and my side, making sure I've got that diagonal bit at the bottom, and I'm going to stick this together. I'm only sticking the side up to this because that's going to fold in like so. So again, making sure that that triangular fold is at the bottom, I'm going to put glue on this 1/2 inch tab and stick this to it. Now this might not be easy to see with this being a big project, so I'm just making a little bit more room on my desk. So this is my 1/2 inch tab, and this is what I'm going to stick on the inside of the bag. So I'm going to run some glue and then I'm going to bring this in. I'm just going to fold this flap out of the way, and I'm going to line up the top up to that 1/2 inch score line, but not over it, because obviously you want your bag to bend. I'm just going to flip that over. So that's what you've got, that's one side. Then I'm going to bring the other side in and making sure again that that diamond's at the bottom. Just reinforce that fold line, and that's going to stick to there. So again, just going to apply some glue. You don't need a lot, you don't want it oozing out all over the place. Just a very, very thin bead. You could use double-sided tape. You could use Stampin' Seal Plus if you're using Stampin' Up products. I've actually run out of Stampin' Seal Plus, else I probably would have used that for this. So I'm just going to turn that over, make sure that that's lined up all along the edge. Burnish it down to give it, you know, some pressure for the glue to stick. So that's how it's looking so far. And then you want the other piece. Again, I'm going to fold that out of the way, and this is going to stick here. So again, you want glue on here. Let's just see if I have got any double-sided tape that I can use, just to see if it will make it a bit easier. I've got some 1/2 inch tape. If I put that down, might make it a little bit easier. Burnish that down, and then what I can do, peel that back. Got a little bit of glue there, so fold it back on itself. Then this I'm going to line up with the fold and line up with the top. Hopefully that's in place. Let's see. And then pull this away, and this should all line up together. And then now you've got to connect this side to this edge. So again, I might use tape. Okay, so I've got my base piece and I've scored on the 1/2 inch score lines all the way around. So now this is just like putting a box together. I'm going to cut up and just make a little wedge on either of the corners. So just cutting up to that 1/2 inch score line. You'll see it better in a minute when I put it down. So that's what we've got. Then I'm going to put glue on each of these 4 corners and fold these in to make the base. So I'm going to use wet glue and just hold it together while it grabs. So I'm going to fold that in, bring the cut edge to the folded edge and hold, and do that on all 4 corners. I know this is quite big for it to fit in the camera view, so I'll put it down in a minute and hopefully you'll see it better. I'm just going to put the lid on my glue for a minute. So this is what you've got. You've got a tray. This now is going to stick around the bottom of this to tie it all together, and then that's going to seal the bag up. So I'm going to start with one of my 10-inch sides and put some glue all along here, and I'm going to use wet glue. I might swap to tape, I'm not sure, but I'm going to try and use wet glue for this. And I'm going to pop this down so that this folded edge lines up with the bottom. And I can see my score line here and I can see my score line here, so this has got to fit in the middle of those two score lines, lining up with the bottom edge. And then once it's in place, I'm just going to burnish it down until it grabs. Then I need glue on here, on this side. And you're just basically going to wrap the bag around this box base, lining up the bottom of the box with the bottom of the bag. I know it's not easy to see, I'll try and zoom out, but it's such a big bag. It's 10 by 10 by 3 when finished. I think this is the only problem with projects like this, you get covered in glue. I'm just going to hold that and I'm going to peel this little corner of the double-sided tape away and then put this back down. So I'm only peeling a corner away. Might have to just put a little bit more glue back on here. Line this up with the bottom edge, and I look as though I might be a little bit off on here, so that's probably me, the way I've folded. So I'm going to stand it up, and now I'm going to peel this double-sided tape away and try and stick it down as best I can to that edge, like so. I mean, it is big, and then I'm going to fold in the flaps because they're the reinforcements, and then you should be able to pinch in the sides on that 2-inch, and when you start to fold it down, it should start to want to fold. I've got a piece of paper that I've cut that is 9 3/4 by 9 3/4. I'm going to have this as my front, I think. So I'm going to pop that on first. I'm going to fold all this in, pinch it all together, and I'm going to punch through just this inch section with my crocodile. But to help me hold it all together, I'm just going to use a couple of my sewing wonder clips, and I'm going to punch a hole, just doing this by eye. As I say, your ScanNCut cutting file has all these holes already in for you. So that's gone straight through all the layers. So I can take my clips off. I can see that I've not lined up my sides exactly perfect here with the white card, but I don't think anyone's going to look at it that closely. And then it just needs threading with your ribbon now. So these reinforcements, the way I would do this is feed your ribbon through from the front to the inside, tape them down, and then glue them in place. Or you can put them through and tie knots on them. It's entirely up to you. So I'll just lay that down for now. So let me see if I've got enough ribbon to make handles. So let's see what we've got. I'm going to cut 2 pieces at 12 inches, I think. See if that's enough. If you're going to use knots, you can fold and glue these reinforcements in and put this through and tie a big knot. But I think because my ribbon's fairly thin, I think I am going to push them through and glue them before the flap goes down. Not sure how well you're going to see this, but my ribbons are inside, so if I make sure I pull them just so there's about 1 inch, and then stick them on the inside and put the flap down over them like so. So the ribbon is under here. Just going to put a little bit of glue. So basically what I've done, I've put a little bit of glue just to the side of the ribbon so that when I pull it back, I can just lay that piece of ribbon in it. It's not easy doing this when it's so big. So that bit of glue is just holding it down, and then when I fold these in and glue them down, that's going to hold the ribbon in more securely. That's going to fold in now and hide that ribbon. Or like I say, if your ribbon's thicker, you can fold this in first and glue it, push your ribbon through and tie knots in. But I'm just going to do it this way, so I'm just going to put a little bit more glue just on the inside for when I feed my ribbon through. And then just give that a good burnish to make sure all that glue grabs. So then you've got your handles, and then as I say, if you fold this down once it's dry, it should get to a point where those V's were, where you can fold it flat. You can push this right down and it will fold flat. I'm not particularly bothered about having mine folding flat. What I have got is I've made a big tag on my ScanNCut and just put a piece of the paper to match and cut a flower, or you could put it through the hole. That might be an idea. Put it through the hole in the gift bag because there should be enough room. Put it right through and tie it. That might work better actually. Obviously do this before you write your greeting. I'll just try and do mine in a little bow, and that way I can take it off. So there it is, 10 by 10 by 3 gift bag, all made from a couple of pieces of card and a bit of designer series paper. And there's the sides. What you could do, you could put a piece of card in the bottom that's about 9 3/4 by 2 3/4 if you want to reinforce the bottom. But I've made this out of basic white thick cardstock and designer series paper for the sides and just on the front. I'm not doing the back. And I think that will hold, you know, it's not going to hold something that's massively heavy, but it would hold some clothing or a box of chocolates or something like that. Anyway, I'll try and get some better pictures of it for the thumbnail, but that's the video. I hope you liked it. As I say, there is a ScanNCut cutting file where all the cutting and scoring is done for you. You literally just have to assemble it, but you assemble it exactly the same way as this. So if you watch this video, that will help with the cutting file as well, and that's available here on my website under the shop tab, and go to ScanNCut cutting files. So please give the video a thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.